Albertans, do it.
Very popular American conservative commentator Stephen Crowder puts this video out yesterday, why this Canadian province wants to get the hell out. We'll take a look at that video here. Crowder actually grew up in Canada from age 3 to 18, he said earlier in the video, but we'll take a look at some of the highlights, in my opinion, from this video. Enjoy.
I'm not the guy who doesn't understand a parliamentary system. I'm not the guy who doesn't understand what socialized healthcare is. Been through all of it. A/B tested. One is definitively better. Doesn't mean that either is perfect. And Alberta is getting to that point where they may be able to separate from Canada. I'm going to make the case as to why they should. Not 51st state, but certainly part ways with the communist hellhole that Canada has become.
So we'll get into more of Crowder's analysis here.
Alberta really, people acting as though they're treasonous, they want Canada to be what it was in the 80s.
So just in case you have not been following this story as closely as I have, when Crowder mentioned the word treasonous there, he's likely referring to British Columbia Premier David Eby, who said this recently.
Now, I understand the desire to hold a referendum, to talk about the issues you want to talk about in Canada. We got free speech, that's important. But to go to a foreign country and to ask for assistance in breaking up Canada, there's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason.
We'll get back to Crowder, but quickly, here's Jeff Rath of the Alberta Prosperity Project, a soundbite of his at least partial response to David Eby.
And of course, the reaction to that from David Eby, when he saw that his power was being taken away and that he no longer had power, he was no longer going to have power to constrain oil and gas development in Alberta on behalf of his communist masters in China, right, was to jump up and down and have a hysterical little hissy fit and say that, we're engaged in treason.
Here's the first reason, key fact one. They are far more conservative than the rest of Canada. I would actually, usually in Canada, conservative would mean moderate Democrat here. Alberta, I would say their conservatives are actually probably to the right of our rhinos.
Look, I think he's right on that. I don't know where Alberta would fit in if you compare it to American states. Maybe Ohio, I'm just guessing. Maybe closer to Texas. I don't think it would be as Republican as in Oklahoma, but I definitely think it would be a Republican state.
Alberta, 64.8% voted conservative. Keep in mind, that's a parliamentary system where you have your prime minister often elected with like 40-something% of the vote. So a majority of all Albertans voted conservative. National, it was 41% conservative, 43% liberal. I know Americans are going, what happened to the other percentage? That's why it's a silly system that sucks. Silly. It's stupid. Two-party system, man. Go look at the brokenness.
Look, that's so incredible. Obviously, Alberta is going to be fed up. 64.8%. I knew it was high. I actually did not realize it was that high. And yeah, check this out here. I have this data from Alberta zoomed in more. Conservative 64.8, liberal 28.4. Over double. I thought it was something like 59 or 60 for some reason. 64.8 to 28.4. And who keeps winning the elections in Canada?
Global News is now projecting a Liberal government.
Okay, here's Trudeau after he won in 2019. Listen to how clown world this is.
From coast to coast to coast, tonight, Canadians rejected division and negativity.
I'm going to touch on that at the end of the video. We'll continue.
They rejected cuts and austerity, and they voted in favor of a progressive agenda and strong action on climate change.
You mentioned climate change that quickly. That is the Canadian story right now. It's so gross what has happened in Canada over the last 10 or so years. And then in 2021, there was a snap election called in Canada during the pandemic, which took years to get over in Canada. Again, watch how quickly Trudeau mentions the climate in his victory speech.
There are still votes to be counted, but what we've seen tonight is that millions of Canadians have chosen a progressive plan. Some have talked about division, but that's not what I see. That's not what I've seen these past weeks across the country. I see Canadians standing together in your determination to end this pandemic, together for real climate action.
It's so crazy. If this was still a pandemic, why did you call an elective election? This did not need to happen. And then the climate, bro. The climate. What is this, bro? Go work at Tesla. Don't run a country. Okay, so the Liberals have been in power for 10 years. The 2025 election has to go differently, right? Well, it's a different prime minister, same party.
A remarkable victory for a former central banker and political novice. Just a few months ago, the Liberals appeared on course to be ousted after a decade in power. The dramatic turnaround has a lot to do with the taunts and threats coming from Canada's southern neighbour, even as he wished them good luck on election.
That's so crazy, man. And again, Alberta voted over 64% Conservative. Are they being represented? Like, come on. Okay, quite the detour there, but back to Crowder.
Here's something else. Alberta has had a Conservative government almost continuously for 91 years. So from 1935 to 2015 and from 2019 to today. You tell me that a province like that is governable under Trudeau and then Carney. It's not. If you talk about a national divorce, it's been happening for a long time. Canadians are just too polite to tell you. Now they're telling you.
Of course, there's still a ways to go, but Alberta Independence, maybe it's the natural effect of the country Canada continuing to vote Liberal. I do not think that's good at a federal level for the same party to keep winning. Okay, we'll skip ahead again here because he makes a fantastic point here.
Sure. Key fact number 3 here. Ottawa, which is the capital, right, of Canada, they kind of hold Alberta's oil, the energy hostage. So Alberta can develop their own oil resources, but the Canadian federal government controls the export. And so Alberta has run into a lot of challenges because the rest of Canada is happy to take the money. They're just going to tell you how you give it to them. They're going to tell you how you subsidize the rest of the country.
I mean, that's true. How is that not true? That's so crazy. He breaks it down very well here. He also makes a few more points. Again, I'd encourage you to go check out this video following this one, why this Canadian province wants to get the hell out. It's already got 120,000 views, so very good chance you've already seen it, but just A+ stuff here from Crowder. Okay, just 2 more short clips from this Crowder video for my YouTube video at least.
Just think about this. You're in Alberta right now, okay? You're in a province where your culture is overwhelmingly, for a very long time, conservative. It's oil rich. You fund the rest of the country, and you want to actually be able to benefit from your own energy resources, over which you are condemned, by the way, with these new environmental regulations. And you don't want to be funding...
And again, I just showed it. How quickly did Trudeau bring up the climate in his victory speeches? He could not wait to go on about the climate. Unbelievable. That party is still in power. And if you look at recent polling, who do you think, by the way, is going to win the next federal election in Canada? The Liberals or the Conservatives? Because I'll tell you for free, I think it'll be the Liberals. I think the Liberals are going to win the next 4 elections. Final clip from this Crowder video. This to me proves Stephen Crowder really understands the problems in Canada. This is profound stuff here.
Right?
Terrifying even.
And it would be far more reasonable to make some concessions and say, okay, all right, look, Alberta, we get it. This isn't fair. Can we sit down here at the table? They don't want to. They just say, treason. You should be proud to be Canadian. Why? Why should I be proud to be Canadian if this doesn't resemble the country that I grew up in? That's what they're saying. They have the right to ask that question.
That's how I feel. That is brilliant stuff. Canada is about everybody else. It's about LGBT. It's about Indigenous people. It's about let's make sure newcomers to Canada feel welcome, have benefits, stuff like that. When is it just about people who lived here, parents, grandparents lived here? When is it about that? What are people supposed to be proud of? Diversity? Climate change? That's how I feel. Again, Stephen Crowder, I mean, he did grow up in Canada. He, in my opinion, understands the Canadian struggle right now very well. Okay, actually, one more clip here from this Crowder video.
Albertans, do it. And I tell you what, if you do that, the United States has your back.
Okay, I'm going to finish this video with a clip from current Prime Minister Mark Carney. It ties into what I was talking about. It's not necessarily about Alberta independence, but we'll take a look. Remember this from 2019, Trudeau's victory speech?
From coast to coast to coast, tonight, Canadians rejected division and negativity.
Here's Carney giving some type of address to Olympians. This clip is very recent.
In a more divided and uncertain world, your success will unite Canadians from coast to coast to coast and remind us that we are part of something bigger.
You have to bring that up in an Olympic address. They keep people divided and hysterical lately, afraid of Trump, and then people just keep voting Liberal. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, with that said, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.